Across the country, investors are being held hostage by those who don't want to maximize retirement profits, but rather seek to push a far-left social and political agenda. The rapid rise and fall of ESG investing can be likened to the dot-com, or what it was also known back in the day as the dot-bomb bubble, and the eventual crash nearly 20 years ago. And just like then, investors have been leaving in record numbers. As of this summer, global investors have withdrawn over $40 billion from ESG equity funds, which have been plagued by poor performance and in some cases even scandal. The ESG movement has seemingly reached its peak, and investors, hedge funds, and companies are experiencing the costly effects of focusing on ESG initiatives rather than creating shareholder value. Regrettably, the ESG movement is being kept afloat by many familiar faces. Democrats, progressive activist investors, and proxy advisory firms themselves have conspired to push woke ideology on millions of unsuspecting and unwilling American investors. Let me be clear, this debate is not about whether investors should or should not invest in ESG funds. That is up to them. But it is about one simple fact. This is about something even more important: fiduciary. Firms have a contractual responsibility, a fiduciary duty to maximize shareholder return, period. And under this administration, activists are running amok, and Americans who are trying to build a secure financial future are instead facing lower returns because of those actions. The continued prioritization of ESG initiatives by the Biden-Harris administration and the regulators is a deliberate strategy to circumvent the lack of congressional support for progressive environmental and social policy measures. This approach undermines traditional and legal government structures and has turned our financial system into a political battlefield. Sadly, my friends on the other side of the aisle will paint a much different picture. During today's hearing, Republicans will highlight three undisputable facts. First, we will emphasize how the inclusion of ESG metrics in financial reporting documents muddies the waters for investors while taking companies' focus away from financial goals to quiet those climate activists. Second, it will debunk the myth that environmental and social funds outperform other portfolios. Simply put, they do not. And lastly, we'll highlight the conflicts of interest inherent in the proxy advisory industry. The proxy process is broken. It no longer promotes long-term shareholder value and operates without transparency or accountability. Activists have hijacked the shareholder proposal process, becoming the de facto standard setters for corporate governance policies in the U.S. Their heightened influence is increasingly concerning when considering the fact that the two largest proxy advisory firms and their willing advocates and allies control an estimated 97% of the market. Coupled with the recent hyperpoliticization of the SEC, proxy advisory firms have been given immense power to shift policy, often using a one-size-fits-all framework to promote a liberal social agenda. Companies have a decision to make. Will they stand by quietly and let bureaucrats and activists in Washington drive up costs and regulatory burdens, ultimately harming the very everyday investors? Or will they stand up to the out-of-touch, unrealistic policies being pushed by these activists and by the Biden-Harris administration? Republicans will continue to stand with the investors, those who are willing to save for retirement and working to build a more secure future. We will continue developing policies that prioritize returns, promote economic growth, enhance financial security, safeguard our capital markets for all, and yes, protect investors. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses today, and with that, I yield back the balance of my time.